Hey everybody, this is our 2 o'clock, slightly after 2 o'clock stream, and we're going to do a quick demo and explanation of a game that I've been working on. It's called The Establishment, Inner Workings of a Secret Cabal. How I've been describing it is a card-based, GM-less RPG. It's got a lot of interesting features between card games, but ultimately it is a role-playing game. You're supposed to take on the role of a faction leader, and you're controlling people throughout Mars. The setting is near future. Humans have colonized many of the planets and nearby areas. Been on Mars for a little bit now, so been on Mars for a little bit. We've just gotten independence from Earth, and so we're trying to shape the future of the planet. Just for a quick demo, we do have Eric put in the green seat. We can see his faction is the Galactic Artists Inc. They are a Hollywood-based group that broadcasts entertainment all throughout the planet. They're very wealthy people, and they're a corporation. So they have all those different elements there. They also have strong ties to the occult. So there's rumors that they've got supernatural means and ritualistic control. So all those great crazy conspiracy theories about the occult in Hollywood are mixed in there. Does that sound like a good one for you, Eric?
Which one was this again? These numbers are all weird.
Galactic Artists Inc. They are all weird. Yep.
Because this says the Taxi Union, and that's Mars of there we go. Galactic Artists Inc. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, I can certainly
play
do exactly that. Yep.
So I will say, currently I'm in the middle of working through artwork. These bottom cards are something I just threw together this morning. Actually, the deck, you can see above you, you have a hand or a deck of 7 cards. These are the influencers that you're going to control. Eric, you can go ahead and put those 7 in your hand if you want to be able to put them up on screen.
No, hold on. We'll figure this out.
If you hit 7, it'll draw.
I'm gonna say it's 7 because it'll do all 7 in the
Yeah. So you'll see some of them have people in them. Some have blank backgrounds. I'm working with an artist, a good friend, Clarissa, who is doing the portraits for me. And so, we're slowly adding those in. But the influencers are the people you're using. They are influencers in society. People listen to them. So you're using them to try to control the story how you want. And these are people that you control, and you could go out and do your bidding. Each has a different power level. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see there's a number between 1 and 3. That's their standing power level. But you'll also see some of them have little stars up top. And as you use these people, they get more experienced in the world, so they actually gain experience points. In Tabletop Simulator, we have a little stamper. We can stamp on the card, and it'll add a bonus to them. So where somebody might be worth 2 points now, they could eventually be worth 4 points as they gain that experience. You'll also notice in the top right-hand corner of every card, there is a icon. There are different realms of influence or spheres of influence within society. Things like occult, transportation, finance, society, high society, and those are all represented in those cards, up the top cards. the effect those have on the game is that certain people are going to be better at influencing certain realms. So if you have somebody who has finance, there's going to be a story card here, and each story, it's a little bit easier to sway that using that sphere of influence. And so in game terms, it gives you a +1. You're trying to get the highest score on a certain side for it to go on. So I'll explain that when we get to the story cards. So far, I've only been playing this on Tabletop Simulator because of the pandemic. I haven't been able to go out and do any real life testing. So some of the stuff that works really great on Tabletop Simulator, like the stamper, might not translate as well. So that'll be something that I'll also be interested in looking at. So Trisha is part of, let's look at the story a little bit more. The Martian Equity Front, that's just the collective name of this group of individuals and covert cells, and they're dedicated to social democracy and a equitable standard of living for everybody. So that's the red team. Blue is the Mars Institute of Technology. They are that science and technology organization. They have health, education, all that stuff wrapped in. They're also the #1 R&D contractor for the military, for the Mars Navy. So they're responsible for space weaponry like AIs, drones, and soldier exoskeletons. So think of all the sciencey and techie stuff goes to the Mars Institute. The taxi union is basically the mob. They are the organized crime on Mars. They also are the people who move people from Earth, from other planets, to Mars, and they have control over all transportation within Mars. During the trip from Mars to Earth, or from Earth to Mars, they also control the news, all the media. They have a strong control over that as well. Those are the 4 core factions that I have. The game is really made for just 4 or 5 players. It plays best with 5. I've never tested it with only 3 because you need a lot of back and forth. So I've always said I have no problem making it a 4 or 5 player game, and that's the player count. Which I think kind of, goes along with RPGs, usually have about that many people. So I think it's a good fit. The 5th faction is like the optional faction. So if you're playing with 4 people, you play with these 4 core, and then if you have a 5th player, you can add this 5th one in. It was a really difficult task to try to balance these 4 out. I tried creating a whole balance with 5. It was very difficult to do. So I went and created a balance between these 4, and then the 5th one kind of just mixes things up. So there is that kind of caveat where you have to play, if you have 4 people, you have to play with those 4, and then the 5th faction's just added if you need it. So that 5th faction are the Descendants, otherwise known the Descendants of the Sons and Daughters of the Terran Kings. They're a prestigious elite group of people who have all been descended from Terran royalty. They believe they're better than everybody else. They have wealth, and they're very loyal to Earth. So those are the 5 factions. The players will get to choose what faction, or you can do it randomly, that you want. Now let me explain. I'm going to pause there. Any questions or thoughts on that?
No, I think.
No, I don't have any questions, but I do think that as you've developed the factions, if you choose to, you can use that as part of your role playing. What the best interests or underlying causes or nefarious purposes, whichever that might be, of everybody plays into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say, I know Trisha, you've played before, so that you've kind of seen it evolve throughout time, and a lot of the things we've added and removed. Um, One thing that I am testing currently, we've only done this with one group, um, is kind of making your own leader. So kind of making your character. You guys see here, there are 8 portraits of some leaders here that you could pick which person you want, which character you want to represent you. Um, and I was just saying, you pick this portrait and just stick it on your character card there. That's what that little spot was for, but it doesn't actually line up at all. It's okay. So you guys could pick which person you want. I was gonna have a way for you to name them. I don't know what happened to my. I had little name tags here somewhere. That's the other tricky thing is, figuring out how Tabletop Simulator works. I've had a lot of fun learning how to script things because I know, we kind of had this yesterday. We played Dan's game, Legacy at Sea, and, stuff took kind of a while to move things because you're scrolling back and forth. And so it's a much different place to test things digitally than to be able to do it in person. So while this game's mostly been developed, Tabletop Simulator, I think I need to get out there and do, real life stuff because it's going to make the difference.
Right. I do. I think you're right. I mean, it's great that we have the opportunity to play test these things in Tabletop Simulator. But I was just play testing another game, and we were saying like we needed to look through cards, and it was like, yeah, this would take way less time if we had physical cards.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it gives us the opportunity, and you don't have to worry about reprinting the cards
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, I remember, play testing for some people, and they'll pull out their card and they literally have a Sharpie and they're scratching things out because you're play testing. So here, it's not as easy to change things in the middle of the game, but like, if okay, I could take a note and then tonight I could change that card and then just re-upload the image. It's pretty easy.
Right.
So go ahead, Trish and Eric, you guys can grab a portrait. Currently I have art. Actually, some of these art are actually for some of the cards. I had commissioned 5 leader portraits, but then I got some feedback that it was kind of hard to role play a person if you kind of had no buy-in on them. And I know I've struggled with that for some role-playing games when you get a pre-made character and maybe if you sit down at the table late and you have the choice between 2 and you just have to pick one and you kind of have trouble connecting with that character and playing it out. So so this is my hope that you can kind of visually pick a person. And then I have these descriptor cards. And I haven't decided how to do this yet. Again, there's no artwork for these because this is a new thing we're testing out. But I think the idea would be that you get to pick 3 of these to describe your character to make it go faster, right? So this is another one of those differences between Tabletop Simulator and in person is, I would just pass out 6 of these in Tabletop Simulator, let you pick your 3. In person, I would maybe do a drafting because I think that makes it interesting to be able to see what people don't or they do pick. But it just takes too long, in Tabletop Simulator.
Right.
If anybody was looking at the lounge channel yesterday, I did post a survey with a bunch of these adjectives here and asked folks if they thought if they were given this adjective, this descriptor for their character, would it be helpful for playing the character? I've done that a couple of times now, sent out surveys. Luckily, I have a lot of friends who do role playing, a lot of people that I've met through MEPACON or other conventions that I go to. So I'm able to kind of crowdsource some of these thoughts, which is, play testing with the group's good, but being able to get, 20 or 30 responses on something really helps. So
Right.
there were adjectives I had in here where people were like, that's completely useless. So I knew to take them out. So go ahead and I guess pick 3. And what's interesting, I also asked folks to rate them on whether they thought it was a positive trait, a neutral trait, or a negative. And a vast majority of them were negative or neutral. There weren't a ton of positive adjectives. And, so I was racking my brain, I need to balance this. You're always thinking about balance. I need to have just as many good adjectives. But then I thought about the game and I said, well, we're playing people who are manipulating other people. I feel like you're probably going to have more negative traits. You might have, the one redeeming factor. But so I left it. I left, the majority negative in there.
All right. So pick 3 and keep them, or pick 3 and put them out. Just so I'm clear. I've been dealing with a Discord issue.
Yeah, put them out there. I think they're supposed to be so people can know what your character is like.
They're all stacked and I can't see most of them. They're just like letters.
Yeah.
I think you have to kind of like pull it out a little bit so you can read it.
If they're in your hand, you can hold Alt and you can still see, like, zoom in over them.
That's what I'm doing. It's going so slow. There we go.
Or read it out a little space here. That's okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
We can move that. You can't. The only thing you can't do is don't move your deck of cards because there's actually a scripted space there. Here, we can move your name. Move your name here, and then you can maybe stack those. Do you guys feel like the having these descriptors are going to help you understand your person?
I think so. I mean, I think it gives you something a little bit more concrete to work with rather than just, oh, I'm the, Martian equity front, so I want equity or something,
I just dropped that on the table and it flipped on its own.
Whoopsie. If you right-click it, you can rotate it. I find it a little easier to do that than remember what the key stroke is to do it. Same thing.
Nope. There. Nope. There we go.
Yeah, I don't think these name tags are working. Oh, there we go. I think if you right-click on the name tag, mine's crooked. If you right-click on it, oh wait, you probably can't. I don't know if you guys can. All right, what's your guy's name, Eric? What are you gonna name your character? I'll rename it for you.
Oh man, kind of looks like DJ Colin.
A DJ?
No, I'm just. How about? Yeah, sure. Let's just leave it at DJ.
Okay. And
There we go.
Trish, what do you want? What do you want your guys' name to be? Person.
How about Zoe? Sans
Zoe?
umlaut.
Yeah, I don't have a.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Wait a minute.
There we go. There we go. And I have no idea how. It's fine. We'll leave it like that. So I'm going back and forth on this. It does add time to the game, but I think it would help. It's going to help with choices, which maybe if I explain the choices, that'll make more sense later. So you can just throw the other three out. We're not going to be using
Yep.
Yeah, see, like even this takes a lot long. Like this would take 2 seconds if we were in person. Okay.
Yeah, I wish
that's
there
fine.
was like a stack these neatly key.
Yeah, if you select them all, you can hit G, which will like gather them or group them, but you still have to select them all then.
I'm finding that drawing the like click drag to draw around things makes moving things a little easier. Assuming you can draw the box around the right things, you know. I mean, that's the key.
Right. All right. So let's talk about how it's actually played. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. If you guys remember those books, I'm sure they still have them, or a text-based game where you're given a situation. In those you get to choose because you're reading it yourself. You get to choose what you want to do. In this one, you're using your influencers to try to push that way. So, and this board's only here because it's easier with Tabletop Simulator to script stuff if that's there. But we have the storyline cards. So we have 3 storylines. Currently, I have 3 of them written. I have a 4th one kind of mapped out. I don't have it as well developed. But my thought is maybe there'd be a 4th one so that you can kind of mix and match. If you're going to play it again, but you want a new storyline, you can add a new storyline in. The way that it branches out, because there's 2 choices, there's like over 124 different endings. So yes, it kind of, I don't want to say ruins it. You know what's going to happen after you play it once. But the hope is maybe you'll play it again, trying to get a different ending.
Right.
So that's another thing we're kind of playing around with is, what's the replayability of this? If it's not super replayable, then maybe it's just got to be like a very thin, easy, cheap game that people will be like, oh yeah, I'd throw $15 to pick that up and play it once. Or is it something that, people will try multiple times? So just things you got to consider when working on it.
Right.
So there are these storyline cards up here at the top. You'll see that the 3 top cards have been laid out. Every card is numbered in the bottom right-hand corner. And they're divided into a top and bottom. So these are a little bit different because of the first starting cards. But we would read the tops, and then right before the round starts, we would read the second part. And then what's going to happen is you're going to draw 3 of your influencer cards from your deck. No, sorry. You're going to draw 4. Why is my hand not showing up?
I see it.
I see it all over the place.
You see my hand?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, not,
okay.
the backs.
Oh,
Yeah. So good, Eric, put 3 back up in your deck. You should only have 4 to start with. I know I told you to put them there.
Yeah, I know. So I could actually show them
Camera.
since I'm the one that's actually. Is there a way to just have them all go back out, and then I can just shuffle them and pick 4? Or
If you like, if you do the drag, and you can drag them or drag the mouse to select them all from your hand,
all right, there we go.
and then you can drag them all back there. Hit the G button; it'll group them. There you go, and then you can put them all back.
Yesterday I couldn't get it to. There we go.
There. And then if you just hover over and hit the 4, it should draw just 4 for you.
Yep.
Again, we're just doing a quick demo of how this would work, but so you would place one of your influencers on either the left or the right column of one of these. You're gonna draw 4, you're gonna play 3 of them in a round. So you're trying to get the highest number in one of the columns. Now, if we had the full table, we'd have 5 people, you'd be wheeling and dealing and such. But there's a trick here is that, I think we've learned this in, society sometimes has a mind of their own. And even though, everything's pointing one direction, something can happen that just completely changes the way things happen. So to represent that, I have this society deck in this top upper corner. And I could just open one or flip one up here so you can kind of look at it if you want. It describes something that's occurring. So this one here says cult of personality. A beloved leader has made moves to solidify his family's control by instituting restrictive measures. So what happens is the icons that are on the right, if you had played any of those, so in this instance, media and transportation, those get canceled. Basically, they're not going to count towards your total in that column. And then the thing at the bottom, the society with the X, that's a later effect. So because this happened, that's going to affect a later round. The next generation, the next thing that we do, it has an overall effect. And then the top part has a number. It says 3 to the right. So that's adding 3 points to the right side, because you never know when these kind of things will go up. It kind of just adds a little bit of randomness. They're not extremely swingy. The numbers are 0 through 4. Most of the cards are 0s and 1s. There's, I think, only 2 3s and 2 4s. So it's not likely that it could swing that far, but there's a possibility there. So, if you really want something to happen, you got to try to get a lot of support. So that's the side card. That's something that we added to put randomness in. Trish, I don't know if you remember in some earlier versions, we just had dice rolls.
Right.
Which added randomness, but then it just felt kind of artificial.
Right. Yeah, because then it's just more or less up to what you're rolling rather than how you're trying to make your desired outcome happen. And what's interesting too, between the rounds, you might try to influence something and not have success, right? So it goes the other way. So then the next round, you might have to change your strategy somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. And people who were allies end up being enemies because, well, I just don't feel the same way anymore.
Because, that happens all the time.
Exactly. So we'll just do one fake round just to give everybody kind of a sense of how it flows. So I'll just read out this first card for everybody. Earthers and Martians have been at each other's throats since Mars gained independence. Hostilities are at a breaking point. Many Martians believe that Earth not only takes advantage of them, but treats them as inferior. Someone killed Marta Dinesh, a first-generation Martian, while she was visiting Earth. Holovid evidence shows a group of anti-Martian extremists followed her into a dark alley. Law enforcement found her body the next day. The Martian people are upset and demand a response. So the options there, on the flip side of this, I have a quote that's kind of like somebody who's, arguing for that side. And there's two options. So Marta's death should not spur more violence. The followers of the old religions want to arrange a meeting between Earth and Mars to find common ground. Mars must try a diplomatic route if there's any hope to have peace with Earth. So if we want to try a diplomatic route, if that side wins, you'll see there's a sentence at the bottom says try diplomatic route, and then it has a 2 in parentheses. That just means you pull card 2 if that side were to win. And then you'll see the symbol in the bottom left is a cult. In this game, religion, whether it's organized or not, religion is part of a cult. It includes a wide range of things. So because the followers of the old religions are trying to do this. If you use a cult to sway things on the left side, you have a more powerful. So every card with a cult symbol is going to give a +1. The other side says Marta's death is a rallying call for all anti-Earthers who believe the time for diplomacy has ended. Coming to the table now will only show weaknesses. So we could decline diplomacy, and if we use sneaky, underhanded, underworld, organized crime methods, you get a +1 if you try to put people that way. So that's the first situation. The second, colonists constructed the original Martian landing site as a temporary home. Since then, dozens of colony ships have either remained in orbit or been grounded by their captains as temporary habitats. The people are calling for a more permanent way to live on the planet. The original plan was to build underground habitats while the planet underwent its terraforming process. It's a slow process with many hurdles. A new company, Tharsis Steel, announced that a newly discovered alloy would enable Mars to build exceptionally large domes, providing a safe environment for homes and even cities without the need to wait for terraforming. So we have one duty to this planet, to tame and rule it. Creating these domes will only make us dependent on them. Future generations may never see the green Mars they were promised. So do we terraform the planet? Or talk of future generations is a red herring. Colonists are waiting in orbit for the homes we promised would greet them. We must embrace and invest in Tharsis Steel to build our cities. The other option is to live in giant domes. And last but not least, since before humans made it into space, we've always wondered if we are alone. Is there other intelligent life in the universe? The Lunar Center for Intelligent Life, Lucille, has announced an unprecedented amount of funding and resources for any groups that can find signs of intelligent life. The Barnard Observatory, high atop Olympus Mons, wants to look outward to distant galaxies for a sign. Meanwhile, the University of Columbia Hills proposes that they should focus on Mars itself to search for current or past life. So probability dictates we are not alone in this universe. Had there been anyone on Mars, surely we would have known by now. We must continue to seek outwards, away from the solar system. So, do we search the stars? Or, we are only just beginning to understand everything Mars has to offer. There may be secrets buried underground. Now we are here and can explore. It's imperative we do so before we lose any evidence. So the other option is to look on Mars. So, at this point, the factions would all start to talk to one another, explain how they feel, what they think we should do, try to make deals. Does anybody feel strongly about one way or another? Patricia, I think you're on mute.
There I go. All right. I do feel strongly that we should not negotiate with Earth. They're always against us. We need to seek some justice for Marta's death. And every time we talk to Earth, it never works out for us anyway. So why be bothered?
Well, I can tell you the Mars Institute of Technology definitely agrees with you that Earth is nothing but trouble, and we should not use diplomacy.
I mean, I don't know. Who cares about one person dead? We shouldn't have more people dying.
That's probably true.
Let's. I think we should work on some diplomacy here. I'm sorry, but
Okay. Fortunately, I don't think I could be swayed either way. Now, if we had the taxi union, they'd probably be willing to be swayed one way or another. But they probably really want to search the stars for aliens. So I'm just going to speak for them. So galactic artists, if you are willing to search the stars for aliens, then we would be willing to support a diplomatic route.
I don't think I have a way to do that very well, but I guess
Any little bit helps.
we could probably do something.
I'm going to switch myself to Game Master. I know it's cheating because now I can see everybody's cards, but all right. So that's kind of the action that would happen. There'd be talk back and forth. I'd help you with this. It's really the one thing we've struggled with a lot in this game is, sometimes we have people say, well, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't understand what my goal is. Early on in the game, we had things, icons and cards, and if you collected so many, you were the winner, or, every time something happened, we had a little track that would move back and forth. But then it just became about winning the game. It just became about points. If you guys know Jay from the Portal,
Yeah.
He was very good at breaking the game in that respect. It didn't matter to him what happened. He just wanted points. And so it kind of, broke, I guess, the spirit of it being a role-playing game. And so it is a struggle because, I play this, I've tried playing with some board game friends, and they want to know where's the victory point,
Right.
Right.
And in a game, I mean, sure, you get maybe experience or something in a role-playing game, but you don't get victory points. There's that meme about, you winning yet, son? It's at its heart, it's supposed to be a role-playing game. You're supposed to look at your faction, and you're the leader of them. You decide which way you think they should go. And so sometimes, I think, with any kind of role-playing game, you need that suspense of belief. But I have this fancy turn order generator. I scripted this myself, so I did. That's another pandemic skill I learned. How to script tabletop simulator. If I push this little button, the turn order comes out. I never figured out how to get it so that if you only have 4 people, it only does 4. But it's fine. So in this case, the taxi union would go first. So they really wanted search for the stars. So they're going to put transportation guide there. And then it's going to go from left to right, and then it's going to do a snake, and then back around. So Trish, you're next to pick the card.
I really want to decline to diplomacy, so I'm going to put this guy there. Oh, this person there.
That's good. Yep. And then Eric, you're next. You get to place one of your cards on any column that you want. There's no restrictions. The one thing I will say, if you remember those little stars, you get experience. You only get experience per column. So if you have all 3 of your cards on one column, only one of those cards is going to get an experience point. So spreading them out lets you put more experience on stuff, but maybe you don't care if you really want a story to go a certain way.
Well, for right now, we're doing this.
Okay. And then Mars,
we just don't care about one person, as I said. It's about all of Mars, and we need to make sure that we get it all figured out peacefully.
Okay, Mars Institute really wants to terraform the planet. So they're going to send Frances DeWitt, the CEO of, what's she the CEO? Credtech. So she's going to offer low interest loans to any corporations that are going to be willing to help terraform. So she's going to make it, worth people's money. And then because it's snakes, so the blue gets to go again. She doesn't care about that one, I don't think. Well, I have an underworld, so I'm gonna say that she's gonna send Citra, who's secretly the brains behind the SciTech Sisterhood gang. And she's gonna use the gang to spread some false propaganda about how horrible Earth is. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's true propaganda. Doesn't matter.
False or not false propaganda.
Right. So Eric, you be the next place.
Yep. I don't think I have. All right. So I will honor my current agreement with the
True.
taxi union there, and I'm sure we can come up with like a poem.
Really great poem.
Like a really great poem, read at like an inauguration or something. Maybe someone's got a speech.
I think that would
to convince people.
Okay, Trish, you get to place the next one.
Okay, well, I think we can live in giant domes. That's what I think. So I'm going to place Mackenzie here.
Goodness.
Who is a temporary labor agency owner. I guess he's going to supply workers. I don't know. We'll figure that out later.
Maybe you could raise their wages to make it a more lucrative job to get into dome building.
Yeah. We need more people employed while we're at it. At living wages. None of this contract labor deal.
I think that's admirable. So the taxi union will 100% agree with that. They don't have any transportation because I already spent it on the other guy, or labor. They don't have any labor, but oh wait, they said they were going to help Green. I guess they should probably do that, huh? All right, so they're going to send. This is Shaheen Khan. He runs a smuggling ring for non-taxed goods. So he's going to start smuggling in like really good stuff from Earth, like really great whiskey, and explain that, you know, if we go to war with Earth, we're not going to get this whiskey anymore. So people should get behind wanting diplomacy. And then then it snakes again, so they get to go again. So they're going to play a card here because they also agree with getting more workers. Red, you get to play your final card.
Okay, well, let's see. What are we going to do here? I just don't really care about this searching for life thing. It's not that intriguing to us. So let's see. Well, I think we're going to get the leader of the Satanic Temple out here reminding everybody that Mars lives matter, I think, or something. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but there you go.
Fun. Speed that up one. Okay, and then green plays their last one.
Yes, we're working on a TV series about life in the domes.
Nice. My life in the dome. I can see that.
Everybody's tired of my life in the spaceship, I guess.
They went too many seasons. We're over it. So blue's just gonna play a card here to try to seal the deal, make sure this definitely happens. Okay, so that would be the last card. So then we're gonna shuffle these society cards, and we put one here, and one here. So we look at the first one, and I think I scripted this correctly and it still works. That's one thing with scripting. It's great when it works, but like the tabletop simulator does updates and it breaks stuff, or it's very particular about things. Like it has a lot of, like if you have a deck, it has an ID number, and if you can script against that, but let's say it's a deck of 3 cards and you pass out all 3 cards, that deck disappears. And then when you put them back together into a deck, it's a brand new deck. So it has a different ID. Yeah, it's really kind of touchy that way. But let's see if this works. So if I hit flip, I think it works. So this one is eat, drink, and be merry. The dangers of living on Mars brings about a hedonistic society and one of general unruliness. So if we had any elite or entertainment in this one, they would be canceled. There is not, so nothing gets canceled. Everybody will stay. And if I hit count, it should count them correctly. This is 2 plus 1 is 3. And then since these icons match, it's 4. So that works. This is 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2 matching. So it's 5. There was no bonus to this one, so the right side wins. Congratulations, we are declining diplomacy.
Damn it.
So that would be card 3 wins. Let me just pull that one. Let's see, this is gonna. Okay. Trish, you want to read the top of that card so we could figure out the.
Sure. Mars ignored calls for a diplomatic response. Other nations like Europa and Ceres tried to convince them to come to the table. The Martian leadership believed Earth will only respond to harsh measures. So that's the top.
Yeah. So we just read the top. Okay. So second one, we will flip this society card. The prison industrial complex. High-tech street gangs terrorize cities. bringing on an era of tough on crime legislation and a general distrust of technology. So if we had any research or street folks, they would have to go away. We don't. So everybody stays. We hit count again. There's no bonus there, so clearly this side wins. Stick this in here. Bump this down because again, these bottom take effect for the next time. Uh-oh. Which side won? The right side?
Yeah.
I think that's card 5. No, it's going to be 30. Uh-oh. I didn't look. This is the part where it gets tricky with Tabletop Simulator because card 34. I want it to make it so that you can push a button and all this stuff would be automated, but you know, not enough time in the day. So who wants to read that one, the top part?
I can. Work on the domed areas brought an economic boon to the colony. People found work and Mars became an attractive place to live. A new wave of colonists flocked to Mars. Projections found that the speed of construction is not keeping up with demand. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, look. Oh, that's a horrible one.
Uh-oh.
Okay, a populist wave. A charismatic leader wins the hearts of Martians and pushes for common sense solutions to today's crises. So anybody in politics or elite get removed. So that's why you see these 2 cards flipped over. However, if we count it up, it's still 7 points because this gives a 3 to the left side. So those are both transportation. He's worth 3, so 3, 4 plus 3 is 7. So that side still wins. That could have messed things up. So let's stick that there. Nope, I forgot to look at what card it was. What side do we need? We need card 65. No,
64.
Thank you. This is another one of those. It's going to work so much better in person. Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, no, now I did it.
Still doesn't want to do it, huh?
Well, it was like sticking that one on top of that one. Okay, good, Eric.
That's
Your
good
turn
enough.
to read.
Yep. The Barnard Observatory offered the universe's most prominent physicists, astronomers, maybe, and technicians the greatest opportunity. Many applied, but they accept only a few to its prestigious Search for Life program.
Or should say astronomers. So see, I'm even taking notes now.
It was like there's only one astronomer.
Just one.
There is only one.
He's a leading one, or she. They are leading that person, whoever it is.
They offered everybody a chance except for astronomers. Only one.
Like, we don't really need you guys. We got this. We only have one position open. You guys are too expensive.
Budget cuts. That was it.
Right. Okay. So I'll just do a quick housekeeping. So technically, anybody who won would get a star. I forgot to do that. So this first one, the right side one. So these cards get stars because red has 2 cards here. They only get it on one. So which one do you want your star on?
That's a good question. I think on the Kayla McDonald, the gambling person.
Okay. On this one, I think the right side also won, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no giant upsets, but it does happen. Like, if that 3 to the left had happened here, it probably would have won. Okay, this yellow card doesn't have any empty star spots, so he doesn't get any. But these do flip because can somebody flip those?
Oh, these?
Yeah. They do still get experience because they were on the winning side.
There was a fourth one in there, wasn't there?
Nope.
No.
Just 3. So yeah, you do get experience on the winning side, even if you got flipped over because of a society card. So yeah, so then I do have a button for this. Return cards. There you go. So yeah, so the next round, you would read the second half of the card. You would lay out cards like before. The only big difference here is there is a society card here now. You'll see, and I need a little thing that explains the symbology here, but you cannot play culture. I can't see, I'm getting old. You cannot play culture cards, any circles, across from a governance card, which are the shields. So, in your hands, you had the folks who were, the very specific occult, entertainment, finance, but there's also like a suit almost where, all the circle ones. So you can't play any circles across from shields. So the first person to go, we reset the turn order changes. So Eric would be the first person to go next time. If he plays, he really wants to play a white circle card. If he plays it here, he is now barring anybody from playing a shield here, which might, help if we don't have any examples here, but what if this card was here? Now, he's like, okay, well, I really want the right side. I don't want anybody gets that bonus. I'm going to play a white card so nobody could play Underworld there. So there's a little bit of strategy game wise with the symbols, but you can also just kind of ignore them if you just want to go for story.
Right.
So yeah, that would be basically it. And you would just keep going. It goes for 4 rounds. There's 4 tier choices. At the end of the game is still a little, still kind of working on it because we've been playtesting so much. We haven't really gotten to the end in a real game yet. So the current setup is that, last card, you read it, and then there is a question at the end. So you're going to read you're going to read the consequences of your choices for each storyline, for the 3 storylines. And then at the end, the person who had the faction that was winning, or you can do it cooperatively, but you're basically going to tell the epilogue. You tell the story. You get all the facts up to that point, and then there's a question, and that's where you guys get to really flesh out the story and finish out the story how you want. If you were the faction that won it, you're probably going to tell the story, so that it supports
flattering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why you're trying to get up, earn up that XP, because you really want to be able to, that last one, try to make it your winning card. But yeah, so that's a very long way to explain how to play this game.
So if people are interested in the game or interested in play testing, what should they do?
The best thing to do would be to contact me. I'm more than happy. We'd have to get 4 to 5 people, but I'm more than happy to set up a game to be able to play. So if you have a group that you normally play with and you want to try this out, you know, I could be completely silent, and you know, I would love to be able to do that because I talk a lot, like I have today. But I could be completely silent. You guys could play the game, and I could just take, you know, some notes on it. It's still, like I said, very much in development. So you can find me in Discord, in the MEPACON channel. My email address is out there, mandaschafer@gmail.com, MANDASHAFER. And so, yeah, just reach out to me. I don't have it up anywhere yet just because so much is changing still. And then hopefully in another month or two, as the vaccines keep rolling out and things open up a little bit more, you know, I'd be receptive to doing, if you guys have small game days somewhere with groups or things like that, anywhere in Pennsylvania. I live in Harrisburg, but you know, I have family up north and friends and all over, so I'm willing to travel to try to do some in person. And hopefully fall MEPACON. I'll definitely set up as many games as I can for you guys to play in person, hopefully.
Woo, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to playing it in person.
Yeah, you've played it a lot.
I like it. I do. I like it.
Yeah.
And it's fun seeing how things change.
Mhm.
You know, I think that's been fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, it started out, we had like a map with grids and trackers that moved and points, and there was all these moving pieces. And just through playing, you know, just like plucking things out, like, no, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. So
Right.
it's gotten there. Yeah. So, and even if I'm, you know, happy to hear feedback, even if just from watching the stream, if anybody has any feedback on the gameplay, I would love to hear that. You know, even thoughts on, as I say, things are hard to read, hard to understand, but some of the quality is not the greatest on Tabletop Simulator because I was trying to keep file size down.
Right.
You know, some things are still in flux. You know, I still have old art for certain things. I do, part of the game development part of it is, so I mean, this was just like my quarantine baby, I call it. You know, I kind of had the idea a while ago, and then Dan from DPH Games really encouraged me to keep working on it, developing it, and you know, it really gave me something to work on that wasn't, you know, work or anything. It gave me a reason to stay connected with friends. I mean, Trish, I talk to you so much, you know, just because we've been able to play together online.
Right.
Right.
It's been a good experience to be able to do this. So my plans are just to keep developing out, keep play testing it. I've already, as I mentioned, commissioned somebody to do the portraits. I did have somebody, I just through Fiverr.com's a website where you get freelance folks.
Right.
So I had somebody do the icons and some of the card templates. I didn't want to get too far into it because, you know, things could still change.
Right.
So like I didn't want her to necessarily do the icons for the factions yet, because what if we play test this a bunch? People are like, look, that tax union makes no sense. You know, I don't want to put money into a lot of development if it's just going to be tossed out. So I used a lot of stock stuff that I could purchase, just as placeholders. But things like the portraits, I knew we're going to use influencers in this game. That's an important part of the game. So I knew those portraits were going to be important and that we were going to need them. So I felt comfortable moving forward with that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. But like you said, it's changed drastically since originally, so I can see where you don't want to have all kinds of great art and then somebody says, "Oh yeah, that great art is, you know, not that, but the concept," right?
Right.
you're
Like,
using it for doesn't really work. And then
these story cards don't work. Okay, we have to throw those out and do something else. Well, we just
right,
spent money and time putting them together. Yeah.
right. But I think that's what makes the tabletop simulator maybe a great thing, because it's ethereal,
Mhm.
and you can remake it. But then again, I guess you could just take a Sharpie to stuff. You could just have I could just draw, not I, but somebody could just draw,
Right.
this sort of looks like a car. Okay, that works.
Right. Right. But so here's the other thing too, is that, everybody keeps talking, oh, I can't wait till things go back to normal. And then others are saying, well, there's a new normal, right? So
Mhm.
what if people do just play more digital games? Like, then maybe you do need a game that works well digitally on
Right.
tabletop simulator just as well as in person.
Right.
Right.
I think it's going to be quite a bit of a hybrid world, I think there's going to be some people, it reminds me of what I see like at the college, you have a lot of people that are like, no, I have to go back in person. I can only learn in person. And then there's a raft of people that are like, well, it's way more convenient for me to be able to take a class remotely. And I think it's the same thing with games. Like, I've actually played, outside of the con world, I've played a lot more games because I don't have to worry about people in my house or neighborhood wanting to play. So
Right.
I kind of don't want to lose that. Although I want to play in person. So I want to do both.
Yeah, I have a group. It's actually people we met at MEPACON years and years and years ago, but like we've been playing every Tuesday, and we're geographically separated, so there's no way we'd be able to do that in person.
Right.
So yeah, I think there is going to be a hybrid, and so maybe any game you develop does have to work on both.
I think it's a big bonus if it can work on both, right? Because then you get a better distribution. I think you might end up with a better game because you have more people getting the ability to play it. It can be geographically distributed, not just wherever Amanda was able to go to
Right.
in the time that she's developing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. A mix is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any international players. One of the things I struggled with when I was creating it, I was like, so a lot of the choices that you get, or a lot of the situations you're put in this game, are based on stuff that's happened through history. But a lot of it's very Eurocentric because you're taught American and European history in school. That's what I
Right.
know.
Right.
And I struggle because I said, Mars is going to have people from all over. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so I tried where I could to find obscure examples of things, because I wanted that. I don't know if I succeeded because, I only know what I know. I'm, so far it's only been mostly friends who've tried it. So, a lot of them are the same um, environment that I'm in or from the same background, unfortunately. So I would love to be able to get it out to more, like you said, geographically separated groups, more diverse groups. One of the big things I tried and I talked a lot with my artist Clarissa was that I wanted to make sure the people that we have are very diverse. That we had, equal representation of women, men, non-binary where possible, because a lot of older games you just had a lot of uh, you know white men in it, or not very diverse. So,
Right. Or real extreme stereotypes.
right, right. Yeah. Although we do have some stereotypes in here, like the movie star. I couldn't resist. But but yeah, so I tried for diversity there. So I'd love feedback on that if somebody thinks, I did something wrong. Because again, I only know what I know, and I'd love to be told otherwise if people feel strongly, something's not right or something needs to be changed.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think having more people from more backgrounds have experience with the game only can make it better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's your creative baby, so to speak. So, it's going to filter through. Does that make sense for your vision of it?
Right. That's something we talked a lot about through, I mentioned we had some board game play testers and we had some more role play type play testers. And we had some great ideas from the board game type people that would make a great game, but it wasn't this game. It wasn't what I wanted for it. Like I want this to be a role playing game. I want you to get into the body of DJ or Helena and think, okay, if they were really running this faction, what would they do? Not to be like, I want to play a pink shield here.
This will yield me 3 victory points, and that is only 1. So,
right.
How do I twist the thought process to make it work for the points?
Yeah. But again, I try to get a balance. If you don't want to do the role playing part, I think there's enough in here. You could do that. You could just play for trying to get high numbers and stuff like that. So, and I don't know. I want feedback. Was I successful in that?
Yeah, I can't really speak to if I was somebody that only does board games, what would I think? Because I do both. So I think it's a kind of a perfect game for me or somebody like me because I like both.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it could be almost like a mood thing. Like today, I really feel like role playing this up, and I don't care too much about. I'm not going to worry too much about point values. I'm going to be dedicated to whatever it is. But I think the characteristics that you added could help with that. Like you could say, oh, some of those traits are like, I think one of them maybe was stubborn or something. So if you said the person's stubborn, well, maybe they're just going to doggedly, like what I was saying before about, well, it might be that you failed in one round, so you'll kind of change your strategy. Well, maybe my person is stubborn, so they're not going to do that. They're just going to doggedly stick to the no diplomacy with Earth, no matter how far down the rabbit hole. Like, dude, that's not possible anymore. You're forget it.
Right. Or even, this person voted maybe, and I don't think vindictive's one of them, but this person didn't help me. Well, I'm going to work against them the rest of the game. It could happen. Even if it's not going to get you points.
I think the description of, we're a cabal kind of thing helps with that because it's like, this isn't necessarily a functional aim or globally globally? Does that work? Anyway, Mars wide functional thing. It's like, well, we want to control everything. Right. Yeah. So in order for whoever I like the taxi union thing, I'm thinking is a good one. Like, well, we just want to control what we control. So it doesn't matter if it's a bad idea for everyone.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of putting that thought process on.
Yeah. You're kind of again, going back to there's more negative than positive. It's like, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just my opinion, but I don't think people who are controlling other people tend to be good folks generally. Although I don't know, because I think I did have some people like in the red faction who like are really doing it because they truly believe people should be equal. So maybe doing evil for the greater good's okay. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's up to, the thought process outside the game. Then you can put that
Right.
put that thought to, how do I think that would really work? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. At one point, we tried to put like a moral or corrupt. So we had like two sides of the card, the influencer cards. There was like a moral side and a corrupt side. But it came too hard. It got a little too hard because, like, you know, I might call something corrupt where you're like, I don't know. Just in when you're trying to score stuff, right? In games, you need black or white. And when you're talking about those kind of things, there's like big shades of gray. So it was hard to map that out. So we dropped that, which is fine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much for letting me demo this, going through it. Like I said, I'm always willing to run some play tests, tabletop simulator, in a month or two in person would be great. I just need any feedback. If anybody who's watching has feedback, something that they noticed or thought of, probably the easiest way is through the Discord channel. That's it. That's all I got.
All
Any
right.
parting thoughts, guys?
I'm eager to play again.
Exactly.
I don't know if I've been a part of a game with 5 people or not. I'd like to see that
really?
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it adds a little more back and forth between stuff because you have more, like with 4 people, sometimes you tend to have one column that, like we did, that had nothing on it. Whereas 5, you usually have a lot more mixed up, a lot more arguments, I think.
Well, it's just unequal. It should lead to that a little bit, maybe. Again, it's also probably a personality thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Or Jay just wants to win the game.
Yes, I'd like to throw in the J factor whenever possible, because he definitely makes it interesting. For sure. All right. Well, thanks again. And let's do this again sometime.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.